Once you've chosen a good story angle and you've gathered some good quotes and information for your story, you're ready to start writing. And that takes you to a spot many people find tricky: how to start. This lecture is about story leads. Our target for story leads starts at the 1 level with I can introduce my topic. Pretty straightforward, nothing fancy. At a 2 level, you can write a lead. In other words, you can use one of the leads I'm about to show you. At a 3 level, it's actually well formulated, meaning it is in fact engaging. And at a 4 level, it is well formulated and unique, not a cliche. So our first type of lead that we're going to take a look at is one of my personal favorites. It's called the sight and sound lead. This is a lead that sets the scene by taking the reader right into the action and describing what is seen and heard. You'll see it most often in a narrative style, so if you're writing a hard news story, this isn't the way to go. But for any of those narrative ones, a pretty interesting approach. Here's an example. Slightly awkward glances and sly smirks found their way onto the faces of the 200 newest members of the student body as they entered the cafeteria through a tunnel lined with pirates sporting hoop earrings, black beards, and skull tattoos on August 31st. With the X marks the spot theme, student council members adorned themselves in slashed jeans, gold swords, and hook hands as they encouraged freshmen to get comfortable in the cafeteria courtyard. Take a look at this lead and notice that it's right into the school with the incoming freshmen, right? Like we see what they see, and we see how they react. We see the glances, we see the smirks, we see the pirates with their hoop earrings and their black beards and their skull tattoos, all of those small details that help take us right into the place. And then we get some information about what's really going on here, right? That we've got student council that is running some kind of welcoming event for the freshmen in this school. So this is a sight and sound lead. Again, what you see, what you hear, and then a little bit of information about what's going on. Another type of lead that many people find useful is the quote lead. If you've got a really strong quote that has both emotion and important details, it can be a great lead for a story. You'll want to make sure that it's going to draw people right in, though, and be specific enough to do that. Here's an example. We cried in the locker room after the win. It was like a curse was broken, said Jane Smith Jr. after beating Powama, Westphalia for the first time in 5 years. We've got emotion, they're crying, there's a curse that's broken. We've got a little bit about what's going on, that they beat P-Dub for the first time in 5 years. That can take us into the story about how they did it and how that impacted them. The third type of lead that you might choose to use is more in line with what you'd find for a hard news type of article, summary. Now this works well for hard news or other complicated issues that students might not know a lot about. In those cases, a quote about it might be confusing, so you might just need to do a summary to help establish it. Okay, they should only be 1 to 2 sentences. They should simply establish the angle, and then you can move into your student opinions and quotes. Here's an example. For many freshmen, the sudden change to university life was unreal and a little frightening. As a result, many programs were created to make the University of Texas at Austin seem smaller, including the welcoming program Going to Texas. Okay, so just a little bit about who, what, when, where. To write a summary lead, think about what details you would want to tell a friend to help avoid any confusion about the subject, and then you can use that as your lead. All right, the last type of lead that I'd recommend that you use is an interesting fact. This can be a statistic or a fact related to the angle, and it can be a good way to grab interest, especially if it makes the reader question what's happening. Here's an example. $400, the average cost of a 2017 prom dress. Numbers are good, money is good, right? People care about money. So use those to your advantage if you can. Look for those surprising numbers or those interesting activities that you can use for this particular type of lead. Between these 4 types, you should find something that's suitable for your particular article. And of course, be sure to use them and use them well to make sure that your article is worth reading for our audience.